So we're already up to the co-main event, and my goodness, is this one hell of a co-main event. We got Tony Ferguson going up against Charles Oliveira. Lock of the night. Can you get us going?
Yeah, easily my favorite fight on the card, and easily my favorite play on the card too. I love Tony Ferguson in the spot. I absolutely love him here. So the one narrative going into this fight is obviously going to be what he looked like last time around against Justin Gaethje, getting beaten and battered for close to the full 5 rounds, gets finished late in that fight, but never really goes down. Like even when the fight was finished, he got finished on the feet. I mean, the guy's durability is just crazy to take that amount of punishment. And I'm sure most of you guys have seen that video where they have just the audio of the punches landing. Probably one of the craziest videos I've ever seen. Just insane. I would pay $1 million to be in that room just to watch a fight like that. But Tony Ferguson, the one thing we know about him, the guy loves to come forward. The guy loves to throw elbows. The guy's not the most technical when it comes to the striking realm, but he gets the job done. He kind of Brandon Royvals it. And that's why I call Brandon Royval mini Tony Ferguson. The guy has really no technical capabilities when it comes to the striking realm, but is still able to get in his opponent's faces and mess them up and really create chaos. And the king of chaos here is Tony Ferguson. And the one knock that's been on Charles his entire UFC career is his confidence. And you want to talk about a confidence breaker? You're talking about Tony Ferguson. And I think that's what's going to happen here. People might think I'm being a little bit too harsh here on Charles, but I truly think that Charles only has about 3 minutes. If he's not able to get it done within 3 minutes, I think Ferguson is going to have done enough to really have broken Charles, to really get Charles off of his game, not really get his Muay Thai going, which looked pretty good against Kevin Lee last time around. Let's give him some props there. But that run that he's on right now, whatever it is, 8-fight winning streak, 7-fight winning streak, let's be honest about the level of competition there. The Kevin Lee was the best one there. And now let's be honest as well. If Kevin Lee had a slightly better gas tank, would he have shot that lazy takedown in that 3rd round? And would Charles Oliveira have gotten that submission? Probably not. Even in that 2nd round, when Kevin Lee was on top of him, you see Charles already, sucking wind a little bit, looking a little bit demoralized. It wasn't really throwing up submissions as actively as he was in that 1st round. But it was just Kevin Lee's horrible gas tank coming back and biting him in the butt every single time. RDA did it. You know what I mean? Charles Oliveira did it. So even though Kevin Lee is his biggest win to date, it still has an asterisk on it because Tony Ferguson, we know that guy's cardio never goes away. He's going to be there from minute 1 to minute 15. And I truly believe that he's going to go out there and finish Charles Oliveira probably in the 2nd round. The pace, the pressure, it's going to be too much. Now, the big question obviously is going to be, how did that beating take a toll on his career? But if it's any other fighter than Tony Ferguson, I would be a little bit concerned. But we're talking about Tony Ferguson. This guy, you're not going to shake this guy. This guy will come back, look just as good as he did last time. And I think he's going to get it done here against Charles Oliveira. So I love that minus 165 that he's currently at. I'm still surprised he's better than minus 200, but I think that's people putting a lot of stock into that Justin Gaethje fight. If Justin Gaethje went in there against Charles Oliveira, you don't think Charles Oliveira would get boxed around for 5 rounds, probably even get finished before that too? Tony Ferguson put up a hell of a fight there. He got blown out there, but he still put up a hell of a fight. And now here he is against Charles Oliveira, who the main thing, the confidence, is on the brink at all times. If it's not going his way, he's going to break. Tony Ferguson's going to break this guy, finish him in the 2nd round. So I got T-Ferg inside the distance here.
Cody Saftik, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I got Tony Ferguson as well. I mean, as far as question marks go, we're talking about, did he take too much damage that last time out? And he's 36 years old, and he ran across a freeway with a newborn baby in his arms, and all these different questions, the knee injuries and just all these different spots. So, yeah, those are obviously going to be question marks. But, yeah, I agree. I just think he's got the style. And very similar. So Gavin Tucker versus Billy Q is just like the super poor man's version of this. Like, I think Charles Oliveira is going to be a little bit sharper than Tony Ferguson, who leaves a lot of openings. Even though he's a good striker, he takes a lot of damage against anybody. I mean, the Lando Venadas of the world, the absolute shot to bits, washed out versions of Anthony Pettis' of the world. He just kind of goes out there and gets clipped a lot, and he has taken a lot of damage. So Charles has been working a lot on the striking. I can see him being a little sharper, a little more technical. But just like Billy Q, you're getting beat to the punch. You're taking a little bit of damage. You just got to persevere and keep coming forward and break this guy. And Tony Ferguson is just a master at that. He does have that pressure. He's able to break guys. Justin Gaethje is, he's an unmovable object. So he ran head first into him, and it didn't exactly work out. But with Charles Oliveira, like if you get into a gut check moment, we just seen time and time again, he's on a 7-fight winning streak. But all of his losses have been the same thing. It's like they kind of got into some deeper waters. If you want to dig into it a little bit deeper, though, I kind of found this one interesting. He's taking this fight on short notice, right? Which is why Tony was really big on like, yo, he better show up on weight because I don't want to know excuses. And it's like, okay, Charles on short notice. Is that good for him? Because he's struggled at weight, even at 55. He's always struggled with his weight cuts, and he probably doesn't have a great game plan together. And the longer this fight goes, Tony keeps putting that pressure on him, and he's always looked for ways out in the past. Like, is this a good idea for him to take fights on short notice? So his last pro loss against Paul Felder, he actually took that fight on short notice, right? He was actually replacing Ally Quinta. Comes in, gives it hell for a round, and then as soon as it doesn't go his way, he's like, no mas. The loss right prior to that against Ricardo Lamas was scheduled to fight BJ Penn. The fight got canceled, so the UFC just scrambled and put the fight together on 3 weeks' notice or something. So Charles Oliveira is technically, again, Lamas had a full camp. Charles comes in. And the same thing, like he gives it a go in the early portion of it, but just like you can break this guy. So him coming in against Tony, like it's got to be advantage Tony. Tony just got to go in there. It seems like he's got a chip on his shoulder, especially coming off the Gaethje loss, that he's just got to go out there and put it on Charles. And if he's capable of doing that, then I can see him winning the fight. I can see him winning inside the distance. I don't know that I would say he's my lock of the week, just because, again, there's some untrustworthiness there. And there's this thing about Charles where it's like he's a natural born killer. Like the guy is one of the most entertaining. There's a reason why he's got the submission record, right? Most submission wins in the UFC. Like there's a reason for that. He's just absolutely dynamite. He can finish you at any step. You can't make a mistake. But with Tony, it's like, are you going to knock him out? Like, I don't know. We've seen what it took to do that. Like, are you going to submit him? Like, I don't know. Well, what is it going to take to do that? Like, that hasn't happened in a very, very, very long time. But I made this joke yesterday, but I'll make it again here. Tony better not have Eddie Bravo as his chief corner, man, because I don't want to hear no Imanari roll bullshit, man. Like, get to your meat and potatoes, get all up in it, break this guy who's on short notice and put the pressure on him. If he does that, Tony gets the win for that reason. I'll pick him.
Whew, Eddie Bravo. Honestly, though, it's a very valid point. Guru, who are you taking in this one?
Yeah, man, I like a lot of what they had to say. And I'll just say something, that Tony said this week where he said, Charles, he might have better striking than me. He might even have better wrestling than me, but he has to respect that, I'm going to come after him. And that's what's going to happen, man. I just feel like it's going to be Tony mauling this guy. And we've seen time and time again, like in that fight with Paul Felder that you guys just talked about, Charles tapped out to elbows in that fight. He tapped out to strikes where I could never see Tony doing something like that, man. Or like with this fight with Cub Swanson. We talked about Cub Swanson earlier today. That was kind of a weird finish with versus Charles Oliveira. Or even versus Max Holloway where, it was an injury, but then they couldn't find any injury after the fight. And
yeah.
I just feel like it's just Tony is going to be coming forward. And like they said, he's going to have a few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes where he can maybe land that cross on Tony, hurt Tony. And we've all seen Tony when he's hurt, he does kind of all that, that weird stuff where he's rolling around on the ground where maybe Charles could jump on his back and lock it in real quick. I mean, who knows? But, I feel like Tony, as long as that doesn't happen early on in the fight, he's just going to start digging to Charles' body with that front kick, getting in the pocket, backing him to the fence, because we see in Charles's win streak too against these lower level guys, he has all the confidence in the world, man. He's walking him down. He's coming forward. He's real open with his stance. He's kind of like taking shots and returning, and he's super confident. Against Tony, man, I think after he lands a few clean shots and Tony's still there and Tony's in his face, elbowing him, throwing to the body, I think he's going to start to kind of, go back to his old ways a little bit. And if Tony makes it a bloody fight too, we could see Charles kind of look for the way out pretty quickly. So I just think Tony is going to come in here. I thought he looked good at the weigh-ins, and I feel like he's one of these guys where his mental space and like his whole life is almost based around like how good of a fighter he is in his head. So I think it's going to be like hell for him to lose 2 in a row. I think he's going to come out here like, a man on fire. So yeah. And the one thing Cody was saying too about the short notice, another thing that I thought was interesting about that is when he pulled out of his fight with Beneil Dariush, he was saying that he had a knee injury and he wasn't going to fight till 2021. So now he's taking this fight short notice against Tony. I don't know if maybe his recovery was better than he thought, or he just thinks this is a huge fight where maybe he can catch a guy on the decline and, get right into the title fight. So he could still be dealing with an injury too. So I just feel like Tony is, the side here.
Go ahead, Locke.
Let me hop in one sec. Another side here. The under 2.5 is a solid spot too, in my opinion. If Charles gets it done, he's probably going to get it done early. And if Ferguson gets it done, he's probably going to get it done there too. A statistic for you guys: 23 out of 26 of Charles Oliveira fights have ended under 2.5 rounds. So there's that as well. And lastly, one thing that I do want to say is a lot of people are saying that Tony Ferguson seems a little extra crazy this week.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been following the sport? The guy's been crazy forever.
Yeah.
Let's drop that narrative that Gaethje fight him a little more crazy. He's always crazy. Let's stop with that stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I want to throw something in too
Go
real
ahead.
quick because shout out to Chris Lowe in the comment section. Remember that uppercut that Ferguson lands on Gaethje, right? That on Charles Oliveira topples Charles Oliveira over. And in the same breath, how many minutes does Charles Oliveira last in that fight with Gaethje, taking that same beating that Tony does, right? Tony deals with almost 5 full rounds of that, where it's like, oh my God, dude. Charles would have taken about 2.5 minutes. You know what? That's a lie. He might have gotten in like minute and a half into the second round, but like they're built different, you know. And if this comes down to a dog fight, Tony's been a dog his entire life.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, you guys, Locke, I let you jump in, and dang it, you stole my best point, man. Yeah, man. I really do. I think the play here is the under. Both guys, I think, are really going to get after it. You know, Tony, for whatever reason, I feel like, you know, first off, it was very surprising for me to lose to Justin Gaethje. That really opened my eyes, and you know, you guys, I think we really have seen the best Tony Ferguson. You know, he's about to be 37 years old. Do I think he's good enough to beat Charles Oliveira? Oh, absolutely. Do I think he's still one of the best lightweights in the world? Definitely. But I really do feel like we're seeing Tony hitting that plateau, if not beginning to decline. And when I look at Charles Oliveira, man, I see a guy, now don't get me wrong, he has quit. And he hasn't just quit once. It's been multiple times. But, you know, that is years behind us. And it's really been every fight at 145 outside of the Paul Felder fight. I just feel like Do Bronx I call him Do Bronx 2.0. This is a guy that has always been so deadly. I mean, like we touched on already, the submission leader in the UFC history, but a guy whose striking has really evolved, gotten so much better. And, you know, a guy that I feel like is coming into his prime. I feel like we're seeing the absolute peak Do Bronx right now going up against, you know, that Tony that I just don't know if we're ever going to see that same guy, unfortunately. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pick Do Bronx to win this fight. But like I said, I really think the spot you want, it's going to be that under, like my man Lock of the Night talked about.